hit me up. I chose mechanical because I really like to see how things are actually working with problems. I find it hard to, that's why I didn't choose EngPhys, first of all, because I can't actually picture any of the stuff. That's one of the big reasons why I chose mechanical. I'm really enjoying it so far. One of the big questions a lot of you guys were asking was, is there any coding? Not yet at all, which is one of the reasons why I chose it, because coding is not for me. I think that we have really great profs in our department. I honestly haven't had any profs that I wouldn't want to take a course again because of them. We have a great support system in our department. I'm on the mechanical society of our department, and so I've actually had to deal with some of the admin from the department, and they're super helpful. We have a great staff that are always wanting to help us, very supportive, and super easy to talk to if you ever have problems. Yeah, so I would say I'm a bit biased, but our department is the best.
I guess I can go next.
Yeah.
So I'm Alessia. I'm in third year of Mechanical and iBio. I'm originally from Vaughan, and as Sophia said, I've really truly enjoyed mechanical so far. One of the main reasons I chose mechanical is because of all the engineering streams in my mind, it's like one of the broadest. So the applications are very diverse. So going into second year, you kind of you learn a lot more of your like traditional physics or what you think about in mechanical engineering. So a little bit more similar to like 1D03. But then as you kind of move on through and like into third year, you learn a kind of a very wide variety of subjects like fluid mechanics, thermodynamics, heat transfer. And you kind of get exposed to a lot of different industries and fields in which mechanical is applicable. Another reason I chose mechanical in terms of biomedical engineering is that there are a lot of applications in terms of prosthetics and like kind of the traditional things you think about, and also into like fluids and that kind of stuff, modeling of the cardiovascular system, all that kind of stuff is mechanical. So that's why I chose it.
Okay, I can go next.
Okay.
Hi, Hi, I'm Julia. I'm in third year of Mechanical and iBioMed. I'm originally from Parry Sound, and now I live in Hamilton in a student house. So I originally chose civil going into second year, but then I actually changed my mind after I went to a trade show. So my dad's involved in the mechanical industry, and then he invited me to go to a trade show, so I went there with them, and I realized that I was actually really interested in that area, and I learned that mechanical engineering is a lot more than just what you think of, like cars and stuff like that. It's a lot more than that. It has thermofluid sciences, it has cars, it has design. There's a lot of different aspects to it, and I didn't realize that right away. So once I did realize that, I learned that I actually wanted to go into it, so that's why I selected it. Yeah, it's a great field to be in. Cool stuff to learn about.
Okay. I'm Carl. I'm in second year Mechanical and iBio. I'm originally from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So if you have any questions about being out of province or anything, feel free to ask me any questions. I originally chose mechanical because I think I liked seeing one thing I did like is the design aspect of everything. I did like being able to create different things, especially using Inventor and CAD, and a lot of especially with mechanical too, I liked a lot of the different moving parts and like structure part of the stream. And in terms of like biomedical integration, I did like the idea of like biomechanics. I am involved with a lot of sports, and I did like to see how a lot of the like bone, muscle, which would integrate into things like mechanical. So I'm interested in like future courses down the line in terms of biomechanics. Yeah.
So I thought we could go through any co-op experiences we've had. I'll start off. After first year, I worked on campus at Venture. So it wasn't a super technical co-op, And it didn't really tie in exactly to mechanical engineering, but basically I would definitely say it's a great co-op for anyone after first year, and after first year too. It was a great way to, so first of all, it does count as co-op, so I have 4 months now under my belt. It's a great experience. I got to definitely improve a lot of soft skills. It's not super technical, but you get to basically design projects and experiments for grade school kids. And then during the summer, you run the summer camp venture. And yeah, so that was my co-op experience. This summer, I actually just had an interview this morning over Skype to be working at MARC, which is at McMaster Innovation Park. It's McMaster Automotive Resource Center. Unfortunately, they just had to close today after 5 p.m. because of coronavirus. But if the lab opens back up, the prof that was interviewing me said that he would love to give me an offer. So something that I would be doing there. Well, basically that lab is working on electrifying vehicles. So cars, and they're looking into planes. So I don't know exactly what I would be doing, but that's a co-op that you could get from MEC for sure. Has anyone else?
I guess I can go next. The last 2 summers, I've had the opportunity to work in research at the University of Toronto. So I've been working in a biomechanics lab, and the main kind of thing that they do is simulation of the cardiovascular system. So the specific project that I've had the chance to work on is surgical simulation for heart defect repair. So not exactly necessarily traditionally what you would think a mechanical engineering co-op is or a job, but that's what I've been doing.
So I can go next. Last summer, I was a research assistant at the MMRI on campus. So it stands for the McMaster Manufacturing Research Institute. And basically they do a lot of work with manufacturing and CNC machines. And yeah, so basically I helped with the master's student, and his research was focused on drill tip testing. So looking at how many times a drill can drill into a specific material and what sort of factors affected that. So that was pretty cool. And then I was also trained on using the water jet that they have. So different master students from different areas in engineering would come and ask to have a specific part that they needed for their research project to be cut on the water jet. So I would have to use Fusion 360, which is the software that you can use on your computer. And essentially what it does it'll trace the code or trace the path. And then I would make the code for that and then cut it on the water jet. So that was pretty cool to see.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I do not have any co-op experience, unfortunately, but I have been looking recently, and I have been getting, recently I have gotten a few interviews for more specifically the mechanical aspect with a design companies. So one of the companies that offered me an interview was Evans Console in Calgary. They're affiliated with the different major companies like the U.S. Air Force and major Atlanta. I think the Atlanta airport, and they more specifically in designing control systems for these bases. So hopefully, with all this, they still can give me my interview.
If we next want to go through, like, I don't know, like a favorite course or project or something that you got to work on, which like could have been why you kind of chose, or why you're happy you chose MEC. After 1P10, I really liked any of the projects where we had to CAD. So that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I chose MEC, like based off of first year experiences. So it was a really easy course in first semester, our design communications course with Dr. Wall, but we actually got to do a bunch of CADing. So I found it super fun, and it is a pretty easy course. The content's pretty easy. So the fact that I also enjoyed what we were actually doing, I was able to get like a really good mark in it. And basically, although it's not as much technical with mechanical, from the mechanical aspect, we learned a lot of like technical things for working in the engineering field, and how you would kind of communicate to other coworkers, which is something that I never thought of and thought that we'd be learning. But basically, we learned how to write like memos as a professional engineer, as well as doing CADing projects, which was cool because CADing was probably one of my favorite parts of 1P10, and that's a big aspect of design. And in mechanical engineering, it's a lot of designing.
Okay, so I can talk about my favorite course next. I actually was going to say the exact same one you said, but I can think of the second example. First semester of third year, you take a fluid mechanics course, and honestly, going into it, I was like, this looks like it's going to be a lot of work and like a lot of math. But it was like one of the first times I can really think of where like the things that you learn in math kind of come together and make sense. And like, I don't know, that sounds kind of lame, but I really enjoyed it. So I found it to be a good course, and the applications are kind of cool because you get to see like, I don't know, things that you never really thought of before just kind of all come together. So for me, that was my favorite.
For me, my favorite, I probably have two favorite courses so far. In second year, I really enjoyed thermodynamics. At the beginning, I wasn't a huge fan of it, and it looks really scary once you start. But once you kind of get the hang of it, I really enjoyed it. The next course was, like Alessia said, fluid dynamics. I really enjoyed that course as well, especially near the end once it all kind of came together and made sense. So.
I would have to say, definitely agreeing with Sophia that design communication was definitely one of my favorite courses for second year. But other than that, I would actually like to say probably 2P and 3A are kind of similar in it's a lot to do with structural analysis of different structures. So a lot of I-beams or different types of structures and seeing how they fail, how they will deform in certain ways. So it's really a good application based. So it like builds up on your physics of like your forces and your moments and stuff. And it's really cool to see how like a physical representation of how things work in real life.
So just to build off what Carl was saying, those two courses, and so, okay, in first semester of second year, you take two different physics courses that I would describe as like building off of 1DO3. One deals with all stationary objects and one is with moving objects. So I know that a lot of people were asking how much 1DO3 relates to mech. Back in first year for me, I did not get a great mark in 1DO3. I didn't love the course, and basically that scared me away from mech at first. So I wanted to talk to people in mech and see how similar it actually is. And definitely the fundamentals are used, and there are similarities, but even if you don't like 1DO3, or if you don't do well in it, you can still love mechanical. That's definitely the case that I was in. But on the other hand, if you love 1DO3, then I'm sure you'll still love mechanical as well. But don't base it off of if you didn't like 1DO3 to scare you away from mechanical, because originally I thought that I wouldn't like mechanical because of that. But there's so much more to mechanical engineering than just what you learn in 1DO3. So yeah, don't let that scare you away from it.
Just to add on to that, I think the same goes for CADing as well. Yeah. Because I in first year, I didn't mind CAD. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't, my favorite thing to do. And I was worried that by going into mechanical, all that I would be doing was CADing. But as all of us have mentioned already, it's so much more than just CADing. So if you're not a huge fan of CADing, or it's not like your favorite thing in the world, don't not consider mechanical because of that.
Yeah, that's another thing I love about mechanical. There's so many different aspects to it. So you're not set with just, like Julia mentioned, it's not just cars. A lot of people think that mechanical is cars, but it's so much more than that, that if you hadn't been in mechanical, you wouldn't even know there's all these different streams and aspects to it. Like our one prof for thermodynamics, he's working completely on like energy related stuff and making the world more green with like less like pollution using green energy. There we go. And that's mechanical engineering. I never would have thought that would be from mechanical. I personally would have thought that's from like Eng Phys, but he has tons of grad students that are RTAs all in energy, and that's from thermodynamics, which is mechanical engineering. So yeah, it's not just cars. It's way more than that, and it's awesome. Okay, so we can move on to questions that were sent earlier on a Google form. So are you guys okay if I read a question and then we kind of can all answer it if we have an answer? Okay, so...
Oh, also, wait, can I just say something before?
Yeah, sure.
If you guys have questions at any point, feel free to just send them in that chat option, and then we can kind of answer them as we go along.
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know how to access the chat, if you just like move your mouse around on the screen, there's a little chat box option on the menu bar, show conversation. Okay, so we kind of already talked about how similar is second year to 1DO3 physics, but that was, one of the questions that people sent in. So if people felt like we didn't answer that enough, then you can ask a more specific question in the chat, but I think we went over that. How much coding is involved in mechanical engineering? So specifically for me in second year, I have not had to do any coding. I don't know, for third year, have you guys had any coding experiences?
In our, oh man, what's it called? Biomedical Signals and Systems, 3A03. You'll have to take that, and that one has a significant amount of coding in projects and assignments. Yeah, but you do that with everyone else as well, so you kind of get help from people.
So that's like an iBio course, right?
Sorry?
It's an iBio course?
Yes, it is an iBio course.
For all streams, so you have to take that no matter what you choose.
You can't escape it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's true. It's not just specific to mechanical.
We also already talked about co-ops. It also asks here what other kinds of co-ops could stem from mechanical. So some examples, I know of a friend of mine worked at some sort of like toilet paper manufacturing place or something. I don't know. He worked on like designing how the assembly line works, basically. I know another friend of mine had a co-op that was actually pretty electrical based, still from mechanical. So again, just another example of how mechanical kind of stems out to other streams as well. And I know of a few people from Mech that have gone to Tesla. That's just like a big name one, but it is possible.
I also know someone who got a mechanical engineering co-op at Ferrero Rocher.
Yes.
So,
do you know what he was doing there?
I have no idea what he was doing there, but he said it was mechanical related. So.
Interesting. Maybe assembly line for chocolate or something.
I guess so.
Another question was, what kind of facilities and resources are available on campus for students in this stream? Anyone want to answer that one?
I think one perk, it's maybe not a facility, but then the mechanical design studio is one perk. So when you're able to get a hatch card, make a deposit, I think it's a $10 deposit for a hatch card, and then being a mechanical, you also get access to the mechanical design studio. So it's specific for mechanical students, and it's kind of like its own, similar to the iBioMed design studio, where it's its own little space. So you're able to study, you're able to work, and you're also able to ask a lot of upper year questions or people in your own cohort, different questions if you're having trouble with anything. So I think that's a great space. I've definitely used it a lot this year.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like my group of friends from mechanical that I've met in second year, I pretty much met them all through the design studio. It's a great space for other people in the stream. I basically go there between all my classes, and exclusive to our stream. We're the only ones that can get access to that through the card. We also have a bunch of lab workshops, like first floor JHE, there's a shop. Hatch has open to all students. And then second floor JHE, that mechanical students in like 3rd or 4th year have labs in those shops. And I think that's only mechanical students as well.
I think there's also a mechanical specific computer lab in ABB now. It used to be JHE. They recently moved it to ABB. It's right above the iBioMed, the new design studio. So I think that's also exclusive to mechanical, I think. Yeah.
So in ABB Tower, that's not really new to you guys since it's been here since you have first years, but for us it's super new. Our second year labs for our measurements course have been in ABB Tower in a completely new facility, so it's super nice. And yeah, mechanical has a new computer lab there that, again, only our department has access to. Okay, what are your favorite and least favorite things about this stream? So I'd say my favorite things, well, my favorite thing is actually not so much academic, but just the great department that we have, like the staff members. All of my profs have been great. Some are a little bit intimidating, but they're all very passionate about what they're teaching about. And I don't know if anyone else has had to like deal with administration at all, but they're so nice. Like our secretary, Lily, is just so nice to talk to. Yeah, and they're really supportive and they're really there to help you. So that's my favorite part. Least favorite thing? I feel like I wish that we had a bit more hands-on experience. I know I'm only in second year, so I think that'll improve. But for right now, I wish that there could be more stuff that's more hands-on from classes or like labs, I guess.
Yeah, I personally, I really enjoy mechanical engineering in general. Like, I think everyone's really nice and supportive, and the professors are always willing to help you if you have any sort of problems. But I do agree with wishing to have a little bit more hands-on. I know, like, for the thermodynamics course or fluid mechanics, I feel like it would really help or have helped me learn it better if I would have had a chance to actually apply it in a hands-on setting.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar in that. So the way it kind of works is that the lab components of a lot of our courses are taken in one huge lab course in third year. And I'd say like maybe one small thing is that it would have been nice to have those experiences actually as we were learning content to help with understanding, as opposed to kind of after where, okay, like I haven't done thermal in like a year and now I'm doing the thermal lab. So like, I mean, it's a little bit broken up, but to kind of reiterate what everyone else has said, like every prof that I've had to deal with or like I've had as a teacher has been extremely supportive, and like it's evident that they're very passionate about the subjects that they're teaching. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite things is going along with everyone else. The professors are probably one of my favorites. A lot of them, very passionate, and a lot of times they were able to take breaks and still make jokes and stuff, but then still be able to teach the content really well. And I think a lot of them are they want you to perform well. They don't just teach just to like get their content out of the way. They really want you to succeed in each of their courses. Like personally, for like one of the courses I'm taking this semester for 3A03, one of the structural analysis courses, he really wants to prepare you for like future courses in where he says a lot of people will have trouble. So they like to think a lot down the line in the future, so you can be successful. And least favorite, I think going along with everyone else, a lot of maybe more hands-on work, preferably like more technical CADing stuff, so I can possibly like improve. I don't think I really got a chance to improve a lot of my CADing in second year, based on just the courses alone. So yeah, maybe a little more the technical aspect, which would be nice.
I have like two kind of things to add on to that. So first of all, I mentioned before I'm part of the McMaster Society of Mechanical Engineers, and the faculty actually has recently started hosting a town hall that we're going to do more frequently. And it's kind of an opportunity for all students in the mechanical department to just voice any concerns they have, like literally anything. And this whole hands-on thing came up a bunch. So they're kind of, it's very, very early in the works, but they're talking about, introducing something so that students have more access to hands-on things earlier on in their degree. Again, that's very early. Like, I don't know if it'll actually happen, but that's another example of how the department really cares about us. They actually want to hear our concerns and try and fix any problems. And then also, to add on to that, no matter what stream you're in, to get more hands-on experience, you can always join clubs. So for example, I'm a member of the Baja team, and I've definitely learned a bunch more, not necessarily more on Baja than in any other class, but you learn a lot more hands-on when you actually go out and get involved in things other than just your courses. We have a question from the audience. So
Yeah.
How did you find the heavy workload in mechanical engineering, and how well were you able to balance the health sci courses like anatomy and biochemistry with all of the mechanical courses? Personally, I found that biochemistry was not too bad. I definitely think, so I don't know if you guys are aware of how it works, but basically you're grouped up with a mix of iBios and health science. You're given a facilitator, and you're given the name of, I think most of us were given the name of a drug. And all semester you are researching that drug, and with your group presenting your findings to the prof with not a ton of direction, but basically it has no lectures, so it didn't take up a ton of my time throughout the whole semester. It would be like when we were preparing for a presentation, there would be a lot of time spent on biochem then, but it's not like biochem was consistently always taking up all my time. Whereas anatomy, well, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about anatomy. It's tough, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't do great in it. It's definitely one of my lowest marks, but I know lots of other people have had much better experiences than me. So I feel like there are definitely better people to talk about anatomy than me. But balancing it all is not too bad, I'd say for sure. Compared to some other streams, I know that other streams have a lot more iBios being way more stressed at a lot of times.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I honestly found second and third year to be a little bit easier than first year. First year, it might have just been because I had adjusted better, but I found first year I was constantly scrambling around trying to stay on top of deadlines, but second and third year I felt more on top of it. As far as anatomy goes, it was a tough course too. I had a tough time going through it, but I think if everyone just kind of, like everyone else is struggling as well through it generally, so yeah, you have that to work with.
I mean, honestly, I think the thing about anatomy is that it's like very much a time management kind of deal. It's like nothing really is like conceptually that difficult that you can't figure it out. It's just more so there's so much content that like near the end it's almost like I can't, there's not enough time to get through all of it. So in terms of advice on how to get through anatomy is like start as early as you can. If you have nothing to do, like you should be doing anatomy kind of deal.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, with anatomy, I would definitely say don't be discouraged with a lot of things. It's very hard, and a lot of people find it very hard. Especially like after some people might not do well after maybe a first midterm or something. Like I didn't do well at all, but I think it's the point where just don't be discouraged, and you kind of have to put the effort towards it a lot of the time. And especially, yeah, a lot of people will tell you go to the lab. It does help. There are a lot of TAs in there that can, like a lot of times you can literally just walk in and ask a TA, hey, can you teach me just a lot? And yeah, they will
Yeah.
go through like specimens and stuff with you, but I would definitely say, as much as like the bad rep anatomy gets, it's very interesting. I find it very interesting. So especially if you're into anatomy, there's definitely ways to be successful in this. And
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
the other
Like,
thing, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, you really got to take advantage of it because it's such an amazing experience. Like, I found it hard. I didn't do well in it, but I don't hate the course. Like, I was really interested in the content, and the access to the labs is amazing, and probably I'll never get to experience that again in my life, even like working with cadavers, especially in an undergrad program that isn't specifically for medical or for like med school. Um, it's amazing. So like take advantage of it. Like Carl said, don't be scared of it. You just kind of have to face it head on and try your best to not fall behind in it. That's what my biggest advice would be for anatomy.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to say is to not let other people stress you out about how much they're studying for anatomy versus how much you are, because you might have a different workload or have a busier week than they might. You'll find, especially in the lab, there's a lot of, or not a lot, but some people who really dedicate a lot of their time to anatomy and really enjoy it, which is perfectly fine, but you might not find yourself in a position where you can dedicate as much time as they want to or they are dedicating. So don't let that scare you, and know that that's okay. And if that's the situation, you can get through it too. It's fine.
Okay, so another question from before. Um, we kind of went over why did you choose mechanical, and where do you hope to end up working. So I guess, okay, does anyone want to go through if they have like a dream job in mechanical?
No. I
I
don't really
know.
know.
People always ask me like when I get together with like family members, they'll be like, "Oh, so you're studying what?" And like I'll explain it to them, and they're like, "So what do you do with that?" And I don't really know yet. I mean, prosthetics have always been something in the back of my mind that seems super cool. But basically, as I'm going through my degree, I feel like I'm learning so many more job opportunities that I didn't know existed even. Like through Baja, I'm on the ergonomics sub team, and I never really thought about that before. But like car companies have entire teams dedicated to designing the seat to be comfortable and safe for the driver. So I think like being on an ergonomics team for like a car company or somehow for like rockets or something crazy, like that would be super cool. Because it kind of ties in like biomechanics to the real world. Um, I don't know specific about a dream job, but yeah, there's many opportunities. Another question is, what were some good indicators that mechanical would be a good fit for you, and what do you like about the program? So again, similar things. Does anyone want to add on to that? We talked about a lot of that kind of stuff.
If I could add something, I just noticed that I really enjoyed learning about why things worked and how they worked. That was a major driving factor. And another thing that helped me make my decision or narrow down my decision was figuring out what courses in first year I didn't like. So, for example, I know it's a common thing, but I didn't enjoy coding. So I knew I didn't want to go into anything that had something with coding. So I think that's a big piece of advice. If you don't know exactly what you want to go into, look at stuff that you don't enjoy doing.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. In first year, there wasn't a specific stream that spoke to me at all. Like, I even went through a phase where I felt like I totally did not belong in engineering because none of the streams spoke to me, and I wasn't set on what I wanted to do after school. I just knew that I wasn't hating what I was doing, and I basically, to choose mechanical, it started with which streams do I not want to go into rather than which stream do I want. And I ended up kind of narrowing it down to mechanical or materials. And then I basically chose mechanical because of CADing, as I spoke of earlier. But now that I'm in it, I'm really glad because there are so many different. It's so versatile as a stream. So yeah, I'm happy with it, even though it didn't really speak to me before starting it. If that makes sense, I don't know. Does anyone want to add to that, or next question?
Yeah, as like kind of like a side note, I know this is like a very stressful decision, and I know I was like really stressing about it in first year, but I mean, I think there's something really to like about every single stream, and there may not be like one specific right answer for you. Like, you are a mechanical engineer, and if you choose something else, you're going to hate it. And like, additionally, if you decide that you go into something and you decide it's not for you, you can always like switch streams. Like, that is a thing that many people have done. So like, don't think this is like a permanent, like, this will dictate the rest of my life decision, because it's not.
Okay, another question about coding, which we talked about. Mechanical straight courses have no coding really yet, but then iBio course has coding, but you can't escape that in iBio, so you'll have to take it anyway. What kinds of projects or courses are you looking forward to? Anyone want to start that?
I'm looking forward to, this is just a general thing. I don't have like a specific course because I haven't really looked at courses that are offered in the future, but I'm just really looking forward to more courses in like fluid dynamics and that sort of stuff. Personally, that's just because of my own personal interest, but yeah.
I'm looking forward to biomechanics for sure. We've already had Dr. Wall as a professor for first semester course in second year. I actually had the privilege of having him as a mentor in my 1P10 class as well. And I think he's a great prof. So he teaches a biomechanics course for all iBioMed students, as of now anyways. So I guess no matter what stream you're in, you're still gonna get to experience Dr. Wall in biomechanics. But yeah, that's definitely a course that I'm super excited about. And then this is also kind of general, but like, I'm really excited about capstone. I feel like no one really knows exactly yet how it's going to work for iBio and what it will entail. But again, back to, we were talking about the mechanical design studio, and working in there, we've seen a lot of people come in with their capstones in their final year. And in mechanical, I think we have such an amazing opportunity to actually physically make a capstone and see it come together and see it actually do something. So I think I'm really excited for capstone to be having some sort of mechanical and biomedical aspect to it. We have another question from the audience. What are the benefits and setbacks of being a big cohort? That's an interesting question. I think it's really cool to have such a big cohort that we have lots of people from all, I don't know if you can call it streams or disciplines, but like we have a bunch of iBios in mech, a bunch of straight mech, a bunch of society and management. So it's kind of cool that you get a little bit of a taste of all the different disciplines just from, talking to people that you share courses with. But it's great to have a big cohort because we have a lot of iBios in mech, and we really stick together with each other. I don't know about other years, but definitely me and Carl in our year, we're really close, and we're always helping each other out because we pretty much have the exact same schedule. There's not a lot of different schedules for iBio and mech. So yeah, we're like a family. It's nice. Anyone want to add to that? Any bad things about being a big cohort?
I feel like when you're in it, it doesn't really feel that big, like kind of same people around all the time, like, and as opposed to first year where like content is kind of designed to be delivered to like 1,000 kids in different sections. Like when you move forward, your course is like there's one section of each course, so it's like one prof, everybody's in the exact same boat kind of deal. Like there's like 2 tutorial sections, so it really doesn't feel that big.
Yeah, especially comparing to first year. Like there was people once I was in second year, people in mechanical that I was like I had never seen before in first year, whereas I think in mechanical, pretty much every face is at least familiar to me.
Yeah.
So even though we are one of the bigger cohorts, it doesn't seem huge, if that makes sense.
I'll say like
Still,
a lot. Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of the profs do a very good job of making you feel like not just a number. Like I don't know if you guys have Koshi, but like the third day of class, I showed up and he knew my first name even though I'd never spoken to him before. So like it's kind of crazy, but I don't know. Like if you show up and you participate, like it really doesn't feel like that big of a cohort.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. So like we talked before about how the profs are great in our department, but first year I never really went to office hours at all. Like it's probably a bad thing, but I'll admit it, I didn't. I was like pretty scared of profs. But yeah, going to actually talk to the profs now that we're more specialized, like kind of like how Alessia said, we're not just a number, you know. They're definitely more personable. After first year, I'd say they really care about how we're doing and how we will be doing in future courses. So yeah. Okay, another question, specifically about what kinds of projects, teams, or clubs are you working on or a part of? So I already talked a bit about Baja, but yeah, I'm on the ergonomics sub-team. Some of the things we're responsible for are designing, okay, well, basically Baja, I guess I should explain that first. We design and build a miniature Baja racing car, which kind of looks like a dune buggy, if anyone has not seen or like heard of us. And we build it ourselves and compete in different competitions. So on the ergonomics sub-team, we're responsible for designing the steering wheel and the seat. So some of the cool things I've done, I've been working with a very old hardware and software called TechScan, where we use pressure mats to map out where different forces are exerted from different angles that you're sitting at to help with designing our seat. And I've done a lot more CADing from Baja than like in courses. So it's been a really cool way to learn a lot more stuff outside of the classroom. Any other clubs or teams?
Yeah, I can go. So I was actually one of the co-chairs for a conference that was held at McMaster at the end of January. Yeah, so that was a really, really cool experience. It took a year to plan it, and a lot of the organizing committee was part of iBioMed, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, and essentially it was just the annual general meeting for the Engineering Student Societies Council of Ontario. So we had almost all of the universities in Ontario that offer engineering come to McMaster for a 4-day conference about leadership and your engineering society, and just talking about how you can improve your engineering society and become more involved. And yeah, I think it was a good turnout. So it was a pretty cool experience. I'd never done anything like that before.
I also am I've already mentioned it, the McMaster Society of Mechanical Engineers. Basically, we're a really new club. I don't know if all departments have their own society, but yeah, the MSME, basically we're responsible for hosting any social events for the department, making any swag, so sweaters, shirts, patches. These are all things that we're planning on doing. And if you have any questions about that specifically, I will be the president next year. So hit me up. Let me know if you want to be on, because you can apply. Yeah, it's also a cool opportunity because it's kind of like a different side of engineering. It's not so much the like technical hands-on stuff. It's more the academic side. So one of the biggest events that we run during the year is the industry night. I think this year was actually our first one, but it's going to be annual now. We have a bunch of different recruiters from companies come to talk. I think a lot of the departments have their own industry nights too. So yeah, that's a cool club as well. Okay, another question. This is a tough one. I don't know how to answer it, so if anyone does, you can go first. What is something that you would change about your program?
The first thing that comes to mind would probably be, it was already mentioned before, but with respect to our composites lab course that we have to take and just having more hands-on, I feel like it would almost be better to have, well, the composites lab is, okay, a course you take in third year, and essentially it's just a lab-based course, and you take every second week, you do a lab in, I don't know, looking at how a diesel engine works, or then looking at like doing a thermodynamic lab or whatever, or static analysis and looking at like a bridge and the trusses. I think it would almost be better to incorporate that into each specific course. So each respective course has their own lab and hands-on experience. But yeah, other than that, I don't know if there's anything that comes to mind that I would change.
Yeah, just before I try and answer that, we're going to be wrapping up in like 10-ish minutes. So if you guys have any more questions that you want to put in the chat, I'd say do so now or within the next couple minutes so that we could still answer them during the live stream. Back to the question, things we change our program. Yeah, okay, so since iBioMed is new, there's obviously some, hiccups. Specifically for mechanical, there is one course that we take second year, second semester called 3AO3. It's a statics course. So Carl mentioned it before. It's talking about like failure of structures and stuff like that. It's a super cool course, but it's not a big aspect of the course, but there is one teaching point that was taught by the same prof in a course that iBios have not taken yet. So it's not a huge part of the course, but it's something that I would change the order of that course specifically, just because it would help with understanding content in 3AO3 if we had taken this one course 3CO3 before it. I'm sorry if I'm confusing you guys because you don't know all the course codes, but yeah, just like the order of our courses is something that they already have started changing between the first cohort of iBio and second. And I'm sure they will continue making changes for the first little bit just because we are still new and they don't know how it's all working out for sure yet. So, but that's another thing that we've brought up at our mechanical town hall, where we kind of, I guess in the past, those two courses were taught by different profs. So they would review that content anyways, but now it's taught by the same prof. And iBiomeds have that little part of the course that's we're missing out on. So that's the thing I would change specifically. Okay, so there's no more questions specific to mechanical, but we can go into some questions that were general for everyone. Let's see if I can find a cool question. So course structures, how are they different from first year? I don't really know if that question means like about labs and stuff, but there's not a ton of labs in second year.
It's like slightly different. There's labs, but like it's not the same kind of traditional lab that you would think about where like the report is due kind of at the end of the lab. Like we do have like a measurements course which has labs in second year, but it's kind of like more of a take-home kind of deal for some parts of it. So like it's like, I don't know, it's a different lab experience, I would say. In third year, you do have a lab course. I would say the biggest difference though between first year courses and kind of the rest of the courses is that in first year, the testing is designed to like be somewhat efficient so that they can get through like 1,000 kids. Mm-hmm. So like in general, there's not necessarily part marks for things. There's like a lot of multiple choice components and that kind of stuff. Like a long answer is out of 3. Whereas if you get one wrong, like a very large portion of your mark is gone. Whereas in the upper year courses, they're like questions are more similar in my opinion to how high school physics was marked. So like a question is out of 10, like there's much more opportunity to explain yourself slash show kind of what you know. Tests are like, I would say midterms are much longer. They're like for a lot of courses, like 2.5 hours. But you really have, I would say, much more of an opportunity to kind of display what you've learned, which is, in my opinion, a positive.
And just to add on to that, it's more like a lot of the professors will say they're more interested about the process versus the final answer.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah,
so I think
a
we're
little bit.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carl.
Let's wrap this up. Yeah, finish it. Yeah, building up on that, I think a lot of the professors specifically want to focus on certain ideas. So a lot of the like midterm tests, there will be like only 2 to like 3 questions. It's versus in first year, you're probably used to having like maybe 15 questions, some multiple choice. Well, a lot of these it's going to be like 3 questions. They're all long answer, but then it really allows you to establish, what you guys were saying, like what you learned and how to apply it into certain scenarios. So, yeah.
So yeah, just before we wrap up, basically my takeaway is that for choosing your stream, you don't have to be 100% set on your stream right now, basically. Like you can switch, but again, I'm biased, but mechanical is the best department and you'll be happy in mechanical. That's my takeaway. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Zofia. My last name is Olajars, but I'm in your chat, so just, you can look up Zofia, Zofia, if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer anything else about mech, about Baja, about iBio, about anything.
All right, guys. So I think we'll close up here. I'd like to thank all of the reps for taking the time out of their day to kind of answer any questions about mechanical. And I hope that all of the students that are watching this live and are watching this back later hopefully learned a lot and took away something from this that they'll use for their decisions. I'd just like to remind anybody who's present on the stream that there will be 2 more streams tonight, and there will be streams the rest of this week. Following up right after this will be software. So if you're interested in software as well, feel free to hop on that stream. And good luck with your midterm tomorrow. And with that said, I guess we'll end it here. Thank you everybody for coming, and have a great rest of your night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.